Let's check it out.
George Manius is a reluctant film star. The 91-year-old has made a name for himself as Peoria's last shoeshine man. His George's Shoeshine and Hatters is iconic, a throwback to the days when downtown bustled with commerce, including men in sharp hats and gleaming shoes. At his shop, he is beloved simply as George. And that's the name of the documentary, George. Director Matt Richman, a Peoria native, remains astounded that George has shined over 1 million shoes over 76 years.
The movie is, first, I think, a celebration of George. That's certainly how it began. And it's also a tale of a person who has done something extraordinary and an examination of how and what makes him tick.
Not that George wanted any part in the project, at least not at first. He'll talk all day with customers in his shop, but George, a soft-spoken and humble man, didn't want a spotlight on himself.
No, I didn't want to do it. They approached me 2 years ago, and I told them I didn't want to do it. And again, approached me again. I said no.
But relatives talked him into doing the film, especially so longtime customers and fans could get a closer glimpse at the intensely private man. In the movie, George struggles with his emotions, especially regarding his family, including the 2020 loss of his sister and his childhood in Greece as a slave to Nazis.
What's important for others to know is that it couldn't have happened without George being brave and vulnerable and open about himself and about his feelings and about his life and his work. I mean, this was a project that completely hinges upon George's willingness to share.
George was born in Peoria in 1931, but so his father could tend to relatives, his family moved to Greece just before World War II exploded. During the war, George, like others in his village, was essentially enslaved by the Nazis, spending every day walking up and down hills in his bare feet, hauling water from a well to a German mess hall. All the while, he wondered if he and his family would be killed. Filmmaker Richman accompanied George on a visit to the old country.
Being there in the town that he grew up in and worked in, essentially as forced labor, as a very young person, sort of changes the complexion of the story. It brings it into a new, it becomes very real. Seeing the hill that he walked every day and the well where he filled buckets with water, I mean, it's just, it's really striking.
After the war, George and his family returned to Peoria, but penniless. So, at age 15, he started shining shoes and never stopped. During boom times in the 1950s and 1960s, he had upwards of 4 men working for him to keep up with demand.
I was so busy, I couldn't handle everything. I was real busy.
But he's never too busy to chat with customers, a ritual thoroughly enjoyed by regulars to this day. George likes to keep busy, and customers love the throwback atmosphere.
I'm doing it because I like to work, I like to be downtown, to meet people, my friends,
Those relationships serve as the heart of the film, with regulars explaining their respect and admiration for the hardest working man in Peoria. Richman, a 1992 Richards grad, marvels at George's longevity.
I think it's hard for anyone to believe, really, when you talk about somebody working at anything for 76 years, and someone with the drive and dedication to be showing up 5 days a week at the age of 90, 91, I think anybody who hears that is a little bit flabbergasted.
The film has been running at the Peoria Riverfront Museum, which helped with funding. Items from George's shop, including his shoeshine chairs where multiple U.S. presidents have sat, will be donated to the museum for display when he hangs up his shine rag for good. Meantime, George, the reluctant movie star, is glad he decided to participate.
I've been doing it for 76 years today, because when I first started, I was 15. One chair in a barber shop.